Sprigging and overseeding irrigation. I've been wanting to do this for a while in both my overseeding videos, and some of you guys that are sprigging may not think those are applicable to you. In this video from 2024, I actually used a mower blade, and here I am putting on the mower blade that, in my opinion, I've done 419 golf course grow-ins, done a number of them in the Raleigh-Durham area. That mower blade prepares an outstanding seed bed for sprigging. It really does. It disturbs that soil just enough to where you can put it on just straight soil. But if you have a little bit of a seed bed almost for that soil, it actually will help those sprigs a lot. In addition, that mower blade, you can see me doing it here. Look how level that yard is. A lot of you Bermuda grass guys want to go ahead, either sod or sprig a yard, then go in and level it. That mower blade that I put on there with that rotating spring will actually level your yard very well, and it makes it very nice. It makes the quality of cut a lot better, particularly for Bermuda grass guys where you get some scalping. Now, we're talking about irrigation here, and this is, there again, applicable to both seed and sprig guys. For years, I have used controllers like this, and they're really nice to have. There's actually 4. Now, why do you need 4 stations on this? Reason being is you can only run about 2 impact sprinklers per station. So this will run actually 8 impact sprinklers. A lot of hose, but it does give you an idea. If you're doing an entire yard and you need that much water put out, you can run 8 sprinklers off of this. They're very nice. They're programmable. You can do each one. Usually what I do, I run one of them, then I'll run the next one, then I'll program the next one, and then I'll program the next one. You can't run 2 at the same time. You're not going to have enough water flow if you use these controllers. So it's one after the other. I'll give you a formula as far as both sprigging and irrigation here at the end of how much I ran on both. So anyway, I'm just going over controllers right now. So anyway, those are an option. The problem with these, I also run this. I have a drip irrigation system on all these flowers. I have a vegetable garden over there that I run off my drip irrigation system, and it's very handy during the summer. The problem, here's the limitations with these. If it rains, there's no way to turn it off. It's going to keep on going. And the main time you want it, and which I found out, I actually went to the turfgrass research farm at North Carolina State University in August and didn't water the yard, came back, had some localized dry spots. So, and the irrigation system at the tomatoes didn't run, so I lost my tomatoes while I was gone. With these, you have no idea what's going on. Or you can't turn them off if it rains, and if I'm in bed in the morning and generally it starts raining, I have to get up, turn the valve off, then I have to turn it back on, and oftentimes I forget to turn it back on. 2 days later, next thing I know, I got wilty plants. So that's a limitation with these. I have got, actually, Rainpoint sent me this irrigation controller. And I've been looking at these controllers for a very long time. And you can, if you have Wi-Fi, if you have cellular service or Wi-Fi, anywhere on the planet, I can turn this off or on. I know it's running. It actually has a weather station with it. I'm going to go through all the features with it here in a minute. But I actually do like this. And it actually is paired, believe it or not. They also have a moisture sensor with this, which actually these two can communicate. You can hook it up to your Wi-Fi at the house. This one I use for the plants, and I usually put it in. There's my drip irrigation system, and I have it there at the side. So this actually measures how much water, percentage of water holding capacity there is to soil. So if it's at 50%, that means it's half the water holding, it's at 50% water holding capacity, 100% would be saturated, and 0 would be bone dry. So that gives you an idea of how much actually is in your flower pots. And that's what I've been using it is. The great thing about using that in flower pots is I don't know how much I really need for my flowers. I don't. Water for turf grass, I got a very good idea how much it is because that's what I'm doing over the years. Use this in the flower pots. That way you're not overwatering them, and that will actually save you water. So this is a pretty handy thing. You don't have to have it, but with these two working together, that's a pretty powerful tool to save you water and know when you can and cannot water. So anyway, I'm going to go over this Rainpoint controller and some of the features of it. And on the other side, I'll give you the formula watering and sprigging and seeding. So let me go through this real quick. Click on zone 2. There's actually 2 zones, as you know. I've got my first one on my flowers and my second one I actually have on for my turf. Tells you the gallons that you have used. You can go over, and there's actually a seasonal adjustment here. So if you set your irrigation plan, you set it up for 10 minutes in May, you can actually go in and in June, which you probably would want to do, you can actually increase the timer by 100 to 150%, meaning 100% would be where you would be at the 10 minutes. And then in June, it would bump that up to 15 minutes. And then in July, you would then put in 200%. So that would be 20 minutes. So as you go through the season, you can actually have that level of control as well. I set up the irrigation plan. You can repeat it odd days, even days, interval, custom, however you want to do that. How many minutes you actually want to run the irrigation system. Now, cycle soaking. Some of you guys out west do this. Water for a little bit and then stop. Allow that water to soak in, particularly with hydrophobic soils. If you guys want to, go to my wetting agent video. This will prevent you from having to do this. And then once when that soil, which it is, once when it gets a little more moist, it actually will accept water better. Then you can go into your soak and go ahead and run it longer. Was editing and thought. I might want to give a couple shout outs here. There's Kevin J1. You can see his comment here on the wetting agent video. He actually put the wetting agent, the H2O maximizer, on his front yard. And he saw a significant difference between his front yard and his backyard here in August when we really had this hard drought. And I also had Matt. You can see the photographs here. He's on the Facebook page. If you guys want to cruise over the Facebook page, leave comments down below. You can also go over to the Facebook page, take pictures of your yard, brag about it a little bit, talk a little smack if you want, or you can also leave photographs there of difficulties you've had. There's myself and several other experts on there and knowledgeable guys too that can maybe help you out. But you can see in 2 weeks, you can see how much his yard recovered, how much yard recovered from that H2O maximizer that I'll talk about in that wetting agent video. Now, could you use that on a grow-in or on a grass seed? Would it help? If you had a hydrophobic soil, it probably wouldn't be a bad move, particularly if you're seeding late in August, maybe early September, and if you're sprigging, it might even things out a bit. You would probably, here's what I would do. Would I put it on bare soil? Probably would. I'd probably be more inclined to put it on the bare soil than seed into it. Or sprig into it that way and water it in. That should help a little bit since we're talking about sprigging and seeding here. And then I mentioned about the wetting agent. I thought I might want to just give a couple shout outs and give you guys some insight on how helpful that video can be for you, particularly during the summer. Obviously, start time is what it is. And then you can start the effective date whenever you want to start that irrigation and water usage limit. This is actually pretty cool. And I like this a lot. You can set this up to how many gallons, particularly if you know how many gallons you're putting out at 10 minutes. You can set this up a little higher. Now, what the advantage, why would you want to do that? Let's say you have an irrigation break and you're away. And we deal with this a lot on golf courses. But if, let's say you're watering for 20 minutes, 3/4 inch line breaks, you're going to be using a lot of gallons. You're watering at 100 gallons, you set that at 100 gallons, but if that 3/4 inch line breaks or something happens somewhere, it'll stop it at that point and it won't exceed that. Because if it runs for 20 minutes at a 3/4 inch line, it's going to use a heck of a lot more gallons per minute than would it be if you just normally irrigated. So right there's some water savings that you have right there. Okay, here's the information on the controller itself. With these new models of how much rain you've got in a specific area, perhaps it's pretty accurate. I'd play with it a little bit, but that is awfully handy information. I have that rain sensor in the flower pots. Would it work on a home lawn? Probably not bad. You would probably put it, if I were using it, I'd probably put it in my driest area to give me an idea how much water I want to put on. Because when that water holding soil water got below 30%, I definitely want to water. Mine right now in these flowers is 32%, so I'm getting pretty close on that. So you guys can use this with this and have a very good idea of how much actually water holding capacity is of your soil. There again, I'm using this in my flower pots because I really don't know how much to really water some of these plants, and I don't know what's going on with the flower pot, but this is a good way to do it. Gives you an idea, so that way you're saving water, and you can shut that off whenever the water holding capacity gets generally about 75 to 80% is when I'd shut it off, and when it gets down to 30, I'd water it again. So anyway, you can use that feature with that timer. One other feature on this Smart Sense, let's go up to the plus. Then you go to add condition. I'd forgotten about this feature. It's actually pretty cool. You go down to weather and then you go to humidity, which is pairing with this, okay? And then you set the humidity level of where you want to be. Now, confirm that. Then you go to control device, you go into the irrigation, and there again, I'll keep this in my flowers. So I'll go to irrigation control on my flowers. I can run normal irrigation, interval irrigation, however I want to program in there, and that's all. So that's where this also helps you, gives you more control of when you're irrigating. As far as watering sprigs and seed, here's what we did. With sprigs, we would go out probably starting about 9:30, 10 o'clock, depending on how much dew we'd have. We'd have it usually programmed into the irrigation system. Run the irrigation heads about, we call them heads, sprinklers, about anywhere from 5 to 7 minutes. What you're doing, seed or sprigs, you're not watering the soil. You are actually watering just really not very deep, about a quarter inch, half inch deep tops. So you're just watering that for 5 minutes. And with seed, because you guys are in the transition zone north, one, you're getting a little bit more dew and it's not as hot. You guys will start that cycle at 5 to 7 minutes at 11 o'clock rather than 9:30, 10 o'clock, like the sprig guys would. Every 2 hours, you'll want to run that cycle. Granted, you guys down south, that's 9:30, 11:30, 1:30, 3:30, 5:30, 7:30. You may need to run it that late. Those of you in the north doing seed, 11, 1, 3, 5, maybe 7 if you need it. You might think that's a boatload of water, but not really. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. 25 minutes is what you're running per day, because you're not going to have to water in the morning. You're only watering seed. You only got to run it for 25 minutes total. Those of you out west, or those of you who are sprigging, it is running at 35 minutes. So it's not that bad. If you guys stick to that schedule, you're going to have more success, either one. And you're not going to have to run things as long because it's going to mature, it's going to come in. When to stop this water cycle when you're growing in. Generally, your first mowing. That is when your roots are going to be down enough into the soil, if they're at that height to cut. But once when that first mowing, after that first mowing is when you can really start backing off irrigation. I recommend doing the particularly cool season grasses, doing it after Labor Day, primarily because you're looking at very dry weather prior to that. And right now, this is 2025, we got a cold snap, for lack of a better word, here in late August, which the dew is really heavy right now, and it will stay on that. I'll keep that canopy moistened probably till 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock. Like I said, you kind of have to monitor it. You can save water by skipping that 11 o'clock application. And if you happen to be at the house, go outside, check it. And if it's wet, skip the 1 o'clock. So there's where these irrigation timers on your iPhone can come into huge water savings and money savings, because you can actually have the control that you want. So the more you deviate, or if you let it get dry, the longer it's going to take to come in. Or particularly if you guys who have seed, that seed pops, and during those first 3 or 4 days until that root gets down in the soil real good, it can die and you can lose seed. Now you're back to reseeding, and now you're back to another cycle of overseeding. So you really have to bite the bullet and go into this, either sprigs or seed, and putting out that much water during that critical time and keep that moist, because what you're actually doing is shrinking that. Now, for you seed guys, I do have and you can seed Bermuda grass too. My front yard is Yukon Bermuda grass, and my opinion is a little more forgiving. I've had guys on the channel who've left a comment down below. And by the way, you guys leave comments down below. You got any questions, even if not pertaining to this video, leave it down below. I like the gems. What I mean by gems is something I have stumped me a little bit, something I've got to look up or refresh my memory or look back at some turf grass research, which many of you guys watch the channel, you know I cite Penn State, Michigan State, Ohio State, a lot of these universities quite a bit. Give me a gem that I got to look something up. Anyway, so if you're seeding Bermuda grass, I think it's a little more forgiving than it is with sprigs. But I've had some guys in the South say they like sprigs a little bit better. The Yukon Bermuda grass, if you're growing it in a transition zone, here's a transition zone north. I would say, I talked about this in a few videos. Here's the USDA plant hardiness zone. You can actually seed Bermuda grass, Yukon Bermuda grass in zone 6B, which is what I am, all the way down to 7. And south of that, you can also seed Monaco Bermuda grass. But some of my guys in Louisiana, I mentioned this, some of these guys in Alabama say they have more success with sprigging. Maybe they do. It's whichever you want to do. Tacoma 31 is good for sprigging. 419, which is what I've done, is those probably the two I'd look at as far as sprigging. But that seeding, if you guys can go ahead, get you an irrigation timer, this is going to save you time and money and water, and you're going to have the control that you want. But that's pretty much the formula as far as watering, sprigs, and seed. And I want to expose you guys a little bit to the irrigation timers because I got to be honest with you, with these irrigation timers, I always done it on a golf course, but I really want to review one of these to give you guys the options, and this one's a pretty good one. So gives you something that you can use. And there again, I use this irrigation. You may use that irrigation timer, you guys in the north, maybe one time, and the rest of the time you're not watering, but I use it all the time on these flowers, and it works really good, and you can see how well they're doing. So anyway, that's watering during overseeding and sprigging. Kind of a shorter video today, but want to give you guys a heads up. Leave a comment down below, and hey, I appreciate it a lot. And remember, as I say, it's not that complicated.